Okay, first unit here is a lot of review. This is all stuff that you guys should know from Algebra 1, but of course, you forget things here and there. So we kind of start pretty easy, and although the topics are easy, we will do some challenging problems, and we'll just keep going. So this first section is Chapter 1, Section 4 and 5, which is solving equations and inequalities. I've written the steps that you can do that right here on your screen. These are just steps to solving an equation. Step 1 is to always distribute. Step 2, combine like terms on each side of the equal sign. Step 3 is to get your variables to one side. And then you'll always be left with a two-step equation that you solve first by step 4, adding or subtracting, and finish with step 5, multiply or divide. Okay, so let's just first start with a basic two-step equation here. Okay, so if I had any basic two-step equation, here's an example of one. Okay, 2x plus 8 equals 14. All right, what I'm doing right now is just highlighting steps 4 and 5, making sure we're all on the same page here. So I do the addition or subtraction first using inverse operations. So the opposite of adding 8, of course, is subtracting 8 on both sides. Okay, now I'm left with 2x equals 14, not 14. Now I'm left with 2x equals 6. And I divide by 2, and I have that x equals 3. Okay, so that's pretty easy. We'll keep going here. Whoops. Well, that disappeared, but that's okay. Okay, as we move down to some more blank white space, let's do one maybe like this. Okay, stepping it up. Okay, so step 1 of solving an equation first tells me to distribute. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times, this is a negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x plus 8 equals 2x minus 10. All right, so that was distribute. Step 2, combine like terms. I have 12 plus 8, which of course is 20, minus 6x equals 2x minus 10. All right, now I want to get my variables to one side. So I have x's on the left and right side. I'm going to do the opposite of negative 6x, which is add 6x to the other side. So now I have 20 equals 8x minus 10. All right, and now I'm pretty close to being done. I'm down to a two-step equation. Add 10. So I have that 30 equals 8x. I'll divide by 8. And you could leave it like that, 30 over 8, whatever that decimal is. You could change it to a decimal if you would like. I could also reduce that down, of course, to 15 over 4 equals x. Okay, so that decimal would be full 3.75. All right. Okay, so there, of course, on your homework will be some more challenging problems than that. But I think since this is a basic Algebra 1 skill that you should feel comfortable with solving equations, ask questions in class if you feel like you need some more help. Okay, so let's just review that solving an inequality is exactly the same. Okay, except there is one rule. When you're solving an inequality, if you multiply or divide both sides of the equal sign by a negative number, you need to flip your sign. Okay, so we will demonstrate that by keeping it fairly simple here. How about if we had negative, whoops, got to switch back to my, whoops. What if we had, sorry, I'm getting used to this touch screen, guys. Come on now. Okay, here we go. What if we had negative 3 times 2x minus 5 plus 1 is greater than or equal to 4? Okay, now this is an inequality because this is no longer an equal sign. It is an inequality symbol greater than or equal to. So I still do step one, which is distribute negative 6x minus 5, not minus 5, negative 6x. Now I got to distribute the negative 3 to that negative 5, which of course is positive 15, plus 1 is greater than or equal to 4. So I have step two, combine like terms. Negative 6x, 15 plus 1 is plus 16, is greater than or equal to 4. Now I look to get my variables on one side, but I only have variables on one side already, so I'm down to a two-step equation. I'm minus 16. I have that negative 6x is greater than or equal to negative 12. Now the negative 6 is multiplying the x, so I divide by negative 6. Now, since I divided by a negative, now let's be clear. It does not matter that this number was negative. That's not the rule. It's not about the number that's getting divided. It's about the number that's doing the dividing. So it's about this number. If you divide by a negative number, you flip your sign. Okay? So now what I have is x. It's no longer going to be greater than or equal to. I'm going to flip it over is less than or equal to positive 2. All right. Now, they might ask you to graph your answers for these. When you graph your answers to an inequality, okay, you just do it on a simple number line. I only need you to put 3 numbers on the number line. You put the answer number in the middle, 2. To the left of 2 on a number line is the number 1. To the right of 2 on a number line is the number 3. Okay. If you have a regular inequality, greater than or less than, you graph it with an open circle. If you have an or equal to inequality, you graph with a closed circle. Okay, so this is less than or equal to. So here I'll switch colors, make this a little easier to see. So that's a closed circle on my answer number of 2. And where are the numbers, x's, that are less than negative 2? The numbers that are less than are to the left. Okay, fairly simple. All right, now, the only other thing left in this section, and then this video will be over, is the only other thing left in this section, and this video will be over, is what's called literal equations. And literal equations are ones where there are no numbers at all. It's all letters. Okay, and then they give you a letter to solve for. And students tend to struggle with this because all the letters are a little bit intimidating to you. Okay, so let's start with something like fairly simple, typical one. V equals L times W times H, and we want to solve for W. Well, what you want to do is just ask yourself, what's happening to the W? There's 2 things that are happening to the W. It's getting multiplied by L, and it's getting multiplied by H. So do the inverse of that. Divide by L. So I have V over L equals W times H. It's still being multiplied by H, so divide by H. Now, if I divide by H, where should the H go in this fraction, on the top or the bottom? Well, since it's dividing, it will go down on the bottom. Okay, and I have V over HL equals W. Again, these are ones where when you're in class, you should ask questions because you'll come across ones that you don't understand. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and do every single problem type with you because then this video would be very long. Okay, so when you run into ones throughout the day that you don't understand, then you just ask in class. Okay, so another one that could happen though. I'll do maybe 1, maybe 2 more. Here's a typical one, and I know that this one is on your quiz or test. We want to solve for x. Okay, I can't solve for any letter if there's 2 of them. So I can't solve for x when it's ax plus bx. Okay, so what I want to do is manipulate this equation so that there's only one x, and then that way I can solve for it. I can do that by factoring this x out. So this is the exact same as x times the quantity a plus b. See, if I would redistribute that x, if I would do this, I'd be back to the original problem. Okay, now what's happening to the x? The x is being multiplied by the quantity a plus b. So I just divide by the quantity a plus b. And I have x equals c over a plus b. All right, that's the end of our first video. As you can realize, I have terrible handwriting, so you'll get used to it as the year goes on. All right, I'll see you in class tomorrow.